What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video and here for another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Crew mode, the penultimate round, round 15 in Season 2. If you guys haven't watched the previous episode, the Mexican Grand Prix, I highly recommend to go check it out. But today, it's time to jump onto the Brazilian Grand Prix at Sao Paulo, one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. And we'll see if we're going to have an absolute banger with just 2 rounds to go. Let's try to finish the season on a high, so let's give that very last push in these last 2 races. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It really motivates me to make more. If you could that, I would be very thankful. But before jumping onto the track, we're going to have our last upgrade of the season ready to the start of this weekend. It's going to be for the chassis, so it's going to make the car more stable and it's going to come in handy, especially in the second sector. Everything is done and dusted. It's time to jump onto the track. It's going to be this round, and after this one is going to be the season finale at Abu Dhabi. So here we are already on the garage, on our headquarters, and it seems that we're going to have some rain interfering for qualifying. It's going to start dry, but as the session goes on, the rain is going to start to get heavier and heavier, and is going to ease down a little bit. I won't say maybe in the top 10 shootout, I don't know, but they're looking pretty good as well. Mercedes in a league of their own, they brought a minor upgrade, so you can see that everyone is stopping to bring upgrades. They're already thinking ahead in Season 3. You can see that we have a bunch of resource points to spend, are already thinking as well in Season 3, and we are really close to Ferrari and as well for Aston Martin. And with some gap we have Red Bull, which despite being in second place in the performance chart, they've been struggling a lot this season, so much that they are at the moment in the third place behind Aston Martin with quite some gap. So I think the first 2 places in the constructors are already secured. First place at Mercedes, and the second place belongs to Aston Martin. But end of practice 2, we already did the practice the qualifying sim program, and we went fastest, and Lando has been showing a very nice pace. So will he score his first point of the season? Remember that so far Lando hasn't scored a single point this season, and probably I'm going to fire him up at the end of the season, unless I can do some miracles in these last 2 rounds, which is going to be really hard. But anyway, it's time for qualifying. We'll see what we can do. Pace has been really good, feeling so comfortable with the car. But you can see that we are already in Q1 and the rain is starting to fall. And when I saw the rain falling on my pit box, I decided to go as quickly as I can onto the track and set a set of dry tires and set the fastest time as quickly as I can. Sergio Perez with 17.7, and I'm really giving everything, not risking too much, because from now on the track is starting to get slower and slower, so probably Perez is going to end up with the fastest time. We're going to be the next to cross the line, open the DRS, and that is going to mean a 19.4 behind Giovinazzi and Latifi. But as we skip a little bit further onto the session, you can see that it's too wet for dries, and some guys actually are on the intermediates, the likes of Mercedes and George Russell on the Haas, and we're going to skip till the end of the session. And Sergio Perez in first place with the fastest time, followed by Carlos Sainz and Daniel Kvyat. Nicolas Latifi with the Williams doing the 5th fastest time, and then we have Norris and then myself in P7 and P8 respectively. Lewis Hamilton way down the order, but thankfully it was enough. Look at the gaps between the drivers, so just see how much the track was getting worse and worse, and Bottas was really close to getting knocked out, and we managed to get through with the time set on the intermediate. So just see how strong the Mercedes is. But anyway, Q2 full intermediate conditions, so there's going to be a free choice of tire race for Sunday, and we are on the intermediate tires, getting really cautious. I don't want to risk already in the first lap. I always like to make a banker on the first one and then push a little bit more on the second one. So this is going to be not much of a brilliant lap across the line, and it's going to be a 1:16.8 for the time being. He put us with the 3rd fastest time with Nicolas Latifi in P9, followed by Giovinazzi. But I think everyone didn't set the time so far in this session. But now we're going to improve by 0.8 of a second, and that is going to promote us into P6 for the time being with 10 minutes to go. And the track is getting better and better. You can see there's less water on the track, so I decided to set a fresh set of intermediates just to make sure that we get to the top 10 shootout. And for the time being, we're improving by 0.3 of a second. The check flag is out, so this is going to be our last lap. At the moment we are on the cusp in P10 across the line. And what is this going to mean? Are we going to get onto Q3? Yes, we do, by setting the 10th fastest time. So only just made it through to the top 10 shootout ahead of Sebastian Vettel, separated by less than 1/10 of a second. So that lap was really important, and you can see that Nicolas Latifi knocked out in P14, so it was a little bit of luck, you can't lie, in Q1, so we was back to reality in Q2. But I think I won't say maybe that was the first time that Latifi made it through to Q2, I don't know. But anyway, we press on onto the top 10 shootout. that we can see that it's full dry conditions, so we're not going to see the intermediate tires for the rest of the session. Going a little bit deep on the second sector, Lewis Hamilton setting the provisional pole time, and what is going to be about as open the DRS, and we're going to stick to the left hand side of the track to do less meters as possible across the line. It is enough just for P7, but let me say it was a pretty crap lap. You could see that we went super deep in the second sector. But anyway, we're going to our last lap of the session. I want to say, as we have a huge tank lap, I think we're going to have time. Yes, we're going to have time to do another one. So this is going to be our second last lap of the session. But you can see a little save there as I'm trying to push and push as quickly as I can. Lando Norris at the moment in P8 and Bottas way down the order with the 7th fastest time. And we are gaining chunks of lap time with a 4/10 improvement. Here it's really easy to lose the back end, but we're doing a very nice job at the moment. I want to say that maybe this can give us P7, maybe be ahead of Valtteri Bottas, considering with that the improvement is being massive at the moment, but maybe it is not going to be much of an improvement on the timetable because the first lap was pretty awful. We are the slowest runners at the moment on track, but anyway, what we need to do now is just put flat to the floor. We're going to open the DRS 6/10 of improvement for the time being in this second last lap of the qualifying session across the line, and it is enough, yes it is enough indeed, to put us in P7 and ahead of Valtteri Bottas. And on our last lap, we're at the moment not improving. The first sector was basically perfect, but unfortunately we're going to go a little bit deep, so that is not ideal. As we lose the back end, we go onto the grass, and our qualifying session is over and we're not going to improve, and that is going to mean that we're going to start this Grand Prix as we skip forward till the end of the session. We're going to start in P9 ahead of Alexander Albon, struggling a lot in his Red Bull, while Max Verstappen is going to start alongside Lewis Hamilton, less than 10th of a second separating these two, followed then by Valtteri Bottas. But it was a very good qualifying session for me, for Tom Motorsport in general, because Lando Norris is going to start ahead of us. So the red time is that Lando out-qualified us, so really interested to see what he's going to do. Hopefully it doesn't bottle the strategy like it was in the last race. So without further ado, let's go to the Brazilian Grand Prix, let's go to Sunday, and hopefully we're going to score some good bunch of points.
Welcome along then to the place where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner. And it's the place, a year later, that Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's Interlagos, and it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. Two very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Junsao into one of the two DRS zones will be the key to any overtaking prospects today. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Now, I want to talk to you about Valtteri Bottas. What a season they've had. A well-deserved championship victory, and the pressure now surely off with the title already in the bag.
It really is well-deserved. I wouldn't say it's been a faultless title challenge, but certainly one that has been consistent and well-managed. Here's hoping they let off a bit of steam today and give us an exciting race.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Gasly, Charles Leclerc and Norris, Thomas, Vettel, Stroll and Nick de Vries, Giovinazzi, Matsushita, Daniel Kvyat and Verstappen, Russell, Raikkonen, Kevin Magnussen and Alexander Albon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ricciardo, Ocon, Sainz and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Jeff here, just a quick radio check. Can you hear me? Right, we're hoping for another podium this weekend. Let's go out there and get a result.
Thanks Jeff, and welcome guys to the Brazilian Grand Prix, starting in P7 thanks to a lot of grid penalties, so much that Nick de Vries in the Williams is going to start in 10th place. So are we going to see Williams scoring points in this season? Remember that so far they didn't score a single point, but strategy wise is going to be a one-stop, a pretty straightforward one-stop, starting on the softs and then switch to the hards. We had the option of starting on the mediums, but I think I'm going to stick on the softs because the guys around us are going to be mega quick. Pierre Gasly is going to start on the harder comparative tires, so I want to say that he's going to revert the strategy in relation to to the others in general. So I'm really curious to see what the Toro Rosso is going to do in these first few laps, because it's going to be mega slow, because we are on the softest comparative tires. 2 rounds to go of this Season 2, 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it slides out on the way we go. 36 laps ahead of us, and a great start, already overtaking our teammate. It is almost 3 abreast between me, Norris, and Gasly as we go into turn 1. We are in a threat from Lance Stroll, but we're going to try to defend on the inside. We managed to give a little bit of a aggressive squeeze on the Aston Martin, and that's us remain in P7, I want to say. And Gasly on the hard tires, already losing position, try to go round the outside of our teammate, make that of Charles Leclerc, I want to say. And with that, we're going to take the pieces of that, and we're going to make the move on the AlphaTauri. And can we go round the other side through the long right hand? It's going to be really tricky, but it doesn't have any chance for the time being to respond with those hard comparative tires. So Gasly is going to really find a hard time on those hard, so good pun there, in these first few laps, because it's going to be mega slow. But on the final stage of the Grand Prix, it's going to be an absolute rocket ship with a Leica, with the softest comparative tire. Probably is going to set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, who knows. But anyway, we are already up into P6, so it's been a fiery start, almost going 3 abreast into turn 1, but thankfully we don't have any damage whatsoever, and we are really close to Charles Leclerc. We know that Ferrari is not really good on the straight line, and you can see that we're gaining and gaining thanks to that on the rich mix overtake mode. For the time being, there's no DRS as we go side by side through the first corner. Lewis Hamilton leads the way, followed by Bottas, Perez, Norris, and then myself probably as we go round the outside of Charles Leclerc. This is really important to stick with the DRS train of Lando Norris. She's pulling away a little bit of contact, tiny bit of contact. Thankfully, there's no front wing damage, so that was really close to put my quest for scoring good points basically over, unless we had a safety car to save us. But anyway, the guys with a lot of grip penalties, we have a lot of grip penalties for this race, remember, are making the moves. You could see one of the Red Bulls doing that. I think it was Alexander Albon, or maybe Max Verstappen. That's P2 in Q3. He's not going to do anything because he also had grid penalties. As Nick de Vries, he seems to be under pressure and he doesn't have any chance whatsoever to defend. Remember that he started in 10th place, but now he's under threat from Nobuharu Matsushita, already cleared by Antonio Giovinazzi. So we could see Alfa Romeo scoring points in this season as well. I think they already score, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, this is the AlphaTauri of Daniel Kvyat, the other AlphaTauri starting on the hardest comparative tire as well. So he's in the same strategy as Gasly is. Round the outside he goes of Nick de Vries. So the dream of scoring points in this race is pretty much over for de Vries. He can't do anything on that Williams. He's also a rookie, so he doesn't have that much experience of these guys around him. And side by side we go. They both have DRS, surprisingly. And there goes Gasly, and maybe he should be under pressure from Kevin Magnussen on the Haas. No, he sticks behind of the Dutch for the time being. But anyway, we come back to our POV P5. We are at the moment that we lose a little bit the back end. We go onto the grass, and we almost took out our teammate, and that was really close to tag his rear tire, and that would be a disaster for Tom Motorsport. But how did I manage to save that? I don't know, but we're going to press on to lap 5, and we are still on this DRS train. Oh boy, that was really close. The first time that Norris is getting really close to score his first point of the season, because at the moment he's in P4. Imagine if he gets a podium on his first point scoring places finish of the season, I want to say. But anyway, we're struggling a lot to overtake our teammate. He's trying to overtake Sergio Perez on the Aston Martin, but that Mercedes power is very slippery on the straight line, and we skip all the way full onto lap 11, and I'm starting to lose a little bit my patience. I'm starting to think about an overtake, because I was letting Norris trying to overtake and not overtaking straight away, because a little bit of team orders. But now I'm starting to lose a little bit my patience, and we're gaining and gaining. He has DRS, but this time is a little bit far from Perez, and he's going defensive, so that is going to give us the outside line, and run outside we go. We're going to do that, so through the first corner, through the CNRSs, but he keeps that position for the time being. Look how close Leclerc is, so we need to watch out for the Ferrari in these next few corners as we're gaining, going defensive once again. So we clearly, Norris is struggling a little bit at the moment, and around outside we go. This is going to be enough brilliant stuff between the two Tom Motorsport cars. You love to see the two pink cars going at it, but for the time being, Norris is going to keep that 4th place, and he already dropped behind the DRS window of Sergio Perez. But I have no chance. I gave him a lot of laps to try to overtake the Aston Martin. If he's not working with him, I need to do something and try to overtake by myself. So that's why that I'm starting to apply a little bit of pressure on our teammate, and Leclerc looking really close as well. So we have the risk of being overtaken by Leclerc, but I need to take the risk because I really want to get this podium at the end of this race, because you know, we are in a very good chance to finish in P3 in the championship standings, and I need to think about as well on the constructor standings, because nothing is guaranteed at the moment. But Norris surprisingly has still DRS of Sergio Perez. But this is round 2, it's take 2. We're going to take a second chance and run inside. We go copycat move maybe of what it was in the first lap. He's going to hold a run inside on the second phase of the center races. This time we managed to squeeze him a little bit more aggressively. That is very close margins between me and Lando Norris. But at the end of the day, we get 4th place. And Norris, this is what I feared. Norris is going to be under pressure from Charles Leclerc. Running outside goes the Ferrari, and this is going to be enough to the Monegasque make the move on the Brit. And I think they are still going at it as they go through the long right-hander, and Norris is going to lose that position. It was a risk that I feared, and it happened, but I had to do it because I gave Lando 11 laps to overtake Perez, and he didn't do anything. He had his chance, so it was time to do something. And talking about Perez, he's fitting the hard comparative tires, and so he's in the same strategy as we are, and we're going to stay out one more lap. I forgot to tell you that, but we'll see where Perez is going to exit. If he's behind traffic, he's going to be in big trouble, and we have a very good chance to get closer, or maybe get ahead of him. It's going to depend on which traffic and how much time he's going to lose. And yes, it is behind some traffic, starting with the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. So this is really good for us, and I took the correct decision to stay out one more lap, but we'll see what he's going to do with us. I pushed a lot on this last lap. We're going to dress a brand new set of our tires. That is going to be the strategy for today, and one of Mercedes already stopped. Leclerc is following us behind as well for Verstappen, and he's fitting the hard tires as well, Leclerc. But for us, here we go, the white strap tires, and we'll see what this is going to mean in the standings. Are we going to overtake Perez is what we're going to find out in these next few courses. We'll depend maybe of this Prix exit as we go a little bit wider. The tires are a little bit closer. Maybe that part of the track is a little bit dusty, so where this is going to put us. And yes, we are ahead of Sergio Perez by 1.5 seconds, but we are behind Daniel Ricciardo on the Alpine, so we're going to try to overtake him as quickly as we can. But for the time being, we are in 3rd place of this Brazilian Grand Prix, so the strategy has worked to absolute perfection. Thank you so much, Kevin Magnussen, because you gave me the chance, and we accomplished that chance to be ahead of Sergio Perez. About us, we're going to dispatch the traffic as quickly as we can. Look at Ricciardo anyway, he's pulling at the pits, but thankfully he gave us a little bit of DRS to gain a little bit of time on Perez. And Norris is pitting as well, and he's leaving the pit. He's on the hardest comparative tire. What is going to mean when it comes getting ahead of Perez and maybe of Leclerc? So we're watching his POV at the moment, and he's going to be behind Sergio Perez. What is going to be about the Ferraris? He's in the middle of them, so he's not that bad from Norris at the moment. He's in P5, and he has a good chance to finish ahead of Perez. We'll see how this Grand Prix is going to develop, but there you have it. The race lead, the Pierre Gasly going really longer in these harder comparative tires. He's at the moment leading the Grand Prix, followed by Hamilton, Bottas, and then Daniel Kvyat ahead of us. And then it is myself in P5, but like I said, we are virtually in 3rd place at the moment. Once the AlphaTauri split, we're going to be in that position. We skip all the way forward onto lap 22 because we've been gaining slightly on Kvyat, not that much. I was kind of surprised that we weren't catching, but thankfully we are pulling away off Perez. We are already 5 seconds ahead of him, and we are starting lap 23, and the sky is starting to get a little bit darker and darker. And actually Jeff is telling me that some rain is going to come, but there you have it. Not anymore the race leader Pierre Gasly is going to fit the softest comparative tire. Now he's going to be an absolute rocket ship for the rest of this race as well. Kvyat, we'll see if the Russian is going to score points. It's going to be a certain points finish for Gasly unless he has an engine failure. There you have it. He's going to exit the pits, and he is just about ahead of Sergio Perez. AlphaTauri playing the strategy to absolute perfection. He is ahead of all this train. He doesn't have to overtake these guys. And guess what? Gasly is behind me as Kvyat pulls into the pits, but it's not going to be much of a threat. But Gasly, I want to say that it's going to be a huge threat, and we might lose this podium unless we do a lot of defending job as we skip all the way forward onto lap 27. He's already within the DRS window, so this is getting critical because Gasly is absolutely flying at the moment. He has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix without a surprise. As we're starting lap 30, we have 7 laps to go. It's going to be really hard to hold up this AlphaTauri, but at the moment I'm deploying all the DRS and all the fuel that I can, and we're doing wonders for the time being. But you can see that it's getting really close, so thanks to the help of the DRS. He has that on the power, which is very slippery on the straight line as we brake really hard into the first corner. He's trying to take a look around the outside. This is the first attack from Gasly. I'm not promised that we're going to finish on the podium this race because he has soft tires. That AlphaTauri is pretty pacey. crazy. And I don't know if you can see the screen, the rain is starting to fall, so everything is happening at the same time in this final season. Round outside he goes! He managed to find the gap. I parked the car in the middle very awkwardly in order to not make him, you know, go on inside or maybe go run outside, but he managed to find the gap to go run outside. Fred and Evil went for a gap that existed, and he almost took that position, but thankfully we remain in P3. But you can see that he's smelling my gearbox, and I don't know how much laps of defending I'm going to take. I don't know if I'm going to finish on this podium. It's going to be really hard, but I have the hope that Gasly, those soft tires are going to start wear out pretty quickly, and it's going to be game over for him. I don't know, but as things are showing at the moment, soft tires seems to have a lot of laps left when it comes to have a great pace, but he's just 3/10 behind us, and I'm starting to run out a little bit of VRS. The fuel, I think it's quite okay. I think I'm going to manage pretty well. I've been running on lean reps on the second sector, but you can see that I have to stop deploy because I have no chance. Otherwise, it's going to be a race pretty much over for me then when it comes to scoring the podium. I think P4 is secured for us unless we have a huge crash, and that is the race pretty much over for us. But you can see how close the AlphaTauri is. He's going to open the DRS. He's going to start to gain beautiful helicam shot like we had on the battle in the early stages of the race with Norris. But up inside he goes. There goes Gasly, and who's going to be better on the traction? It's going to be slightly later. We're doing wonders in this Comparative, and Gasly is doing wonders as well on that AlphaTauri. Brilliant driving from both of us as we go side by side through the long left hand. He's going to have so much grip around the outside, and we are still going at. You can see how much I'm pushing in order to keep this podium and finish on the podium, but we've made a little bit of contact because I didn't left that much room, and we have a bit of a front wing damage, yellow damage, so I think our chance to finish on the podium is over. Our race to finish on the podium are pretty much over. We're going to finish probably in P4 unless Gasly has an engine failure, because now he's going to also weigh pretty easily. But I tried, I made a mistake. I should have given a little bit of more room. I have to lift my hand, it was my fault, but brilliant driving nonetheless from both of us, and especially from Gasly. And this is for the lead of the race. Bottas, I want to say, he's going to try to go run as I switch to the inside through the NAS, and the two silver arrows are going at it. If they crash, Gasly would win the race, but I think it's not going to be the case because they are in the fine margin. But we have a very healthy racing between these two. The multiple world champion has been overtaken by the new world champion Valtteri Bottas. Remember that he conquered his first championship at Mexico in the last episode, and Bottas, there you have it, on the last lap he's going to cross the line to win another race, the Brazilian Grand Prix, and he might be unlapped by one of the Alfa Romeo. Only just maybe, no, it wasn't enough, but another win for Valtteri Bottas. This man has been unstoppable throughout the second season, and there you have it, winning the penultimate race about us. I gave everything. I think I did a pretty good race. Norris is going to score his first points of the season, finishing P6. He's been overtaken by Perez. I think for some laps he was ahead, but it's going to be 8 precious points for Norris. Finally scores points, but for us it's going to be 12. I tried to get the podium, but it wasn't enough. But great race nonetheless.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. What do you think it was, Ants, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
You love to see Gasly on the podium at the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix, first in the real life, now in the game. What a race from the Frenchman. That strategy was absolute stonk. Starting on the hards, he managed to do a pretty decent stint. He was leading the race, and then it was an absolute rocket ship thanks to those softer comparative tires and the light car, and he got the fastest lap. Great day for Gasly, not for AlphaTauri in general, because Kvyat only just finished outside of the points, but for us, P4 and Norris finally scoring his first point of the season, 8 precious points. But a very, very epic Brazilian Grand Prix, as always. Brazil giving us classics and brilliant racing between myself and Norris, and then between myself and Gasly. They have it, the driver standings. We are still in P3, and I think nothing can take us away now, unless Perez wins the race and maybe I have an engine failure. I think that is going to be the only chance that Perez is going to snatch at P3. So I think it's pretty much done and dusted when it comes to the driver standings. Gasly has a good chance to finish in P4. Fight for 6th place between the 2 Red Bulls and Lance Stroll is pretty hot. They are just separated by 4 points. And then the constructor standings, we are up into P4 thanks to that doubles point finish, the first one of the season. Guys, that has been episode 37, the penultimate race in season 2 of my F1 2020 My Team Crew mode. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash like and subscribe to channel if you need to see plenty more Formula 1 content. Really motivates me to make more. Make sure to enjoy the family. You're going to have an absolute banger over time. But that has been me for today. My name's Tom, and I'll see you guys all brand new video next time. But for now, take care.